Welcome to Tansson TV Plus. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Mom.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Yep, thank you for joining us.
And Mom, how are you doing today?
I am doing fine today, Brandon. How are you doing?
I'm excited for us to go into another TV discussion.
Yes, we are continuing with our theme of revivals, sequels, restructures, and and today we're going to talk about Hanging with Mr. Cooper.
Yeah, and we're going to speak up the second season premiere for this show, and this will be the restructure that we're discussing for this month.
Yes, and this episode, Brandon, can I give a little details about the episode?
Go right ahead, Mom.
Alrighty. And this particular episode, Brandon, Mark's cousin actually comes to stay with him. This is his cousin Geneva and her daughter Nicole, and this is actually the introduction of how she came to live with them.
Mom, thank you so much for that.
You're welcome, Brandon.
Yes, and this first episode of the season is titled Baby Love.
Yes.
And Mom, what'd you think of the episode overall?
You know, Brandon, I really liked the episode. I thought it was really cute. It's been a while since I've seen it, so it was nice to go back and rewatch it. I think I ended up watching this at least two times. And so, like I said, it was nice to go back and rewatch it. I did giggle when I watched it. It was interesting to see the premise they gave for the reasons why his cousin came back to live with him. To me, I thought she fit in really well with the cast.
I definitely do believe that Geneva and Nicole do fit in well with the cast. And so, am I able to give a little bit of background into why we're discussing this episode?
Yes, Brandon, please go ahead.
Yeah, so as many of you may know, the show Hangin with Mr. Cooper had originally debuted in 1992. We previously had discussed the series premiere of the show, but at the time it was made by Jeff Franklin for a more mature audience, I should say. And so, I guess after a season, the powers that may be, whoever they may be, decided to shift it into having a more family friendly audience.
Okay. And that would explain why they brought in Nicole, who is actually Mark's little cousin. Nicole, who is played by Rima Simone, they claimed that she was 6 at the time. So if it was family friendly, it was a way of bringing in a child. They already had another young man, Tyler, who was, I guess, 10-ish years old on the show at the time. So that way they could kind of group them together to play or to speak with each other and to bring in that younger audience.
Yeah, and I will say that not to spoil our connections a little bit early, but the show is created by Jeff Franklin, who created Full House, which is a family friendly show that was on the TGIF lineup, and so by making this change, it sort of aligns the show more along the lines of a sister show.
Yeah, and I remember watching it during the TGIF lineup days, and it fit right in.
And yeah, but with that being said, they did have to restructure some things with the show.
Yeah, tell us about that, Brandon.
So, whereas the first season largely showcased the character of Mark going between jobs trying to launch his basketball career, uh, one of his many jobs being a substitute teacher while living with his two female roommates, and the annoying kid next door who's son of the landlord. He decided to shift it a bit and have, of course, the family, the cousins, move in and bring the neighbor Tyler, who's no longer associated with being a landlord, into the fold in a more natural way.
Yes, and we don't want to forget that Mark also had another roommate, and her name was Vanessa, and so it gave a chance to have the female bond between Vanessa and Geneva. And then Geneva, to me, was kind of like a mother figure for them because she was the mothering type for the group.
Yes, but of course, with all these changes, we did have to say goodbye to Robin, though.
Yeah, I was sorry to see Robin go, but Geneva kind of fit right in. I mean, Robin used to play the piano, and Geneva comes in doing the same thing. So they kind of replaced her with the same personality a little bit, but yet because but yet Geneva did have that mother figure going for her.
Yeah, and I think what sort of helps out with this is that, as you're saying, they practically do the same job. I believe Robin was a music teacher, and now Geneva's coming in, and first thing she does is bring in a piano, which there previously was a piano there, but apparently Robin took back her piano, and so now Geneva's moved one in.
Yes, yes. And I believe that Geneva is a music teacher also, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, she does become the new music teacher, I believe, 2 episodes later.
Okay. Yeah. And one of the things I did like about the change that they did, I like that they actually made this a subtle change, meaning that it was mentioned in the episode within about 2 or 3 lines. Tyler said it, and it just kind of spilled right out what happened to Robin. And so that exposition was, you almost had to catch it because they said it real quick at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah, I thought that was a nice little way to keep everything going, not to linger on it. But I do like that we actually got to see, Geneva and Nicole move in, and that wasn't something that just happened, between seasons.
Yeah, same here. Same here.
And with that being said, even though, of course, this is a second season premiere, would you say that this has the workings to have potentially have been like a first episode of a series?
Actually, it did have the potential to be the first episode of a series because, in essence, they kind of started over with this format that they did use.
Yeah, and I thought that this was a really clever way of doing it, that you were able to start a brand new premise, and it had an initiating event, but in the same regard that we are sort of at least acknowledging that we're continuing from what had already transpired.
Yes.
And just as an additional detail for the episode, as we said before, the episode's titled Baby Love, and it ends with a little nod to the song at the end of the episode.
Yes, and you had to point that out to me, Brandon. But yes, they did sing that song at the end of the episode.
Yes, and I will say, too, that there's an episode later in the series that also utilizes the song that is one of my personal favorites, and maybe one of these days we'll have a chance to revisit that one.
And do you think this change worked for the series, Brandon?
Oh, I definitely do. I feel like this gave the show a bit more to work with. And while, of course, the series originally started off with almost like a feel of like Three's Company, so to speak, of a guy living with two platonic females, that I like now that we have a bit more of a direction for where we're trying to go. And we're still, at least this episode doesn't really speak about Markin trying to figure out his basketball career by any means, but I know that's still a continuing premise, but I feel like we now have a better understanding because it's now about Mark adjusting with his cousins living there, and then Vanessa is still around trying to figure out her life.
Yeah, yes, she is. She is. But Vanessa brings some comic relief to the show.
She absolutely does. I know some of my favorite episodes are ones that involve Vanessa or the hijinks between Vanessa and Geneva.
Yes, yes, same here.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but something that I definitely have interpreted anyway from the new relaunch of the show is that whereas we still have, of course, all of these characters in addition to Mark, is I feel like that dynamic they're actually working with, at least for the episode, is actually the dynamic between Mark and Nicole.
Yeah, they bonded really well together, and they made sure to do that very early on in the episode. I mean, I think if it were just Mark and Geneva, I don't know if they'd have made that bond or allowed that bond to go as quickly. But Mark and Nicole, they did a nice job showing how they got along.
They absolutely did. And even though, of course, Tyler is still here from the first season, he is now a series regular beginning in this episode.
Yes, he is.
And I will say, too, that someone else was added to being a series regular, even though they did not appear in this episode.
Yes, Nell Carter came on board also, and she was the principal of Mark's school.
Yes, and so she's introduced 2 episodes later, but we do see her name within the theme song. And can we speak about that theme song?
Yes, we can. Go ahead, Brandon.
Yes, so we have a brand new theme song to go with the new theme, whereas the first theme song had Mark with Robin and Vanessa and a whole bunch of women. They decided to focus it back down on showing the core family, and so we now have Mark in his home with the family, I guess, getting ready for the day, and we do have a new musical theme, and then another one in syndication.
Yeah, we do, because it took me a minute. I had to stare at the episode that we saw and realize they had switched it to the one that comes later in the series. So I think this one's supposed to be Soul Man, if I remember correctly.
Yes, it is.
And so I'm sure it was for copyright reasons, which is why they kind of switched it to the one that came later in the series.
Yes, and so instead of having Soul Man, they did switch it to a condensed version of Cooper Cooper that began next season and continued on for the rest of the series.
Yes.
And overall, what are your thoughts about the new and improved theme song as a whole?
Well, I really liked it. Well, I really like the one that they're using now. Though I did like the Soul Man's theme song, but I like the one that kind of came out, like you said, during the third season.
Yeah, I definitely like that they were able to make the newer theme fit a different theme song. Although I do like the Soul Man version as well, and it's very rare to find even the version online. Even on YouTube.
Yes, it was. We tried looking for it.
But yes, I only saw one version of it, and so yeah. But Mom, is there anything else that you want to mention for Hanging with Mr. Cooper season 2?
Well, I do try to rate the series as much as I can, 1 to 5, 5 being the highest. And I would give this one a 4 because it was nice. I thought they did a good job of bringing everyone together. It connected to the old version, to the new version, and they brought the sense of family in the show. So I would give this a 4.
Yes, I would also give it a 4. And I will say, while this isn't necessarily one of my favorite episodes of Cooper, and don't get me wrong, I have plenty of favorites of Cooper. I did think it was a solid episode overall, and for practically changing the premise of the show, we had an enjoyable episode.
Yeah, we did. We did. We did. And I look forward to watching the series again. I know that a few years ago, you and I both sat down and we watched the series, and so I'm looking forward to actually watching it again.
So just to make sure you are aware that a few years ago when we rewatched that was 2014.
Oh gosh, was it? Oh, that was a while back. So I guess we that explains why I didn't remember as much.
Before we go ahead and end out, I did want to ask, is there anything that you would like to specifically look back at as we hopefully revisit the series in our own time?
If you're referring to specific episodes, I really like the ones with Mark Lynn Baker added on there. They are two, for me, the funniest episodes, and so I'd like to go back and rewatch those two again. But but yeah, I just look forward to spending some time with you and watching some more Cooper.
I certainly look forward to it as well. And of course, I did want to highlight our little connections real quick.
Oh, what are our connections, Brandon?
So we don't have too many connections, but we do have some. So the first one is with the director of the episode. He had previously directed the Facts of Life episode, Christmas in the Big House, that we had watched.
Okay, that's great. That's great.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that there was something else that he had directed too. I haven't been able to find it yet, but I'm practically sure of it.
Oh wow, wow. So I'm sure there's more up there, Brandon, that we don't know about.
Even though he's not in this episode, you had just mentioned the actor Mark Lynn Baker, and yeah, that was in the show Perfect Strangers. And as a fun fact, he had directed almost about 2 seasons full of episodes of Hanging with Mr. Cooper.
All right, that's cool, Brandon.
But yes, we're just truly growing our connections, in the series, as I mentioned earlier, is created by Jeff Franklin, who also created Mom, do you remember what show?
Full House.
Yes. So he is a creator of Full House and Fuller House.
Yes.
And Mom, is there anything else that you would mention for us to go ahead and end out this video?
No, Brandon. I think we've done. No, I can't think of anything else, Brandon.
All right, well, that sounds good. We can go ahead and begin ending this out.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching today.
Yes, we definitely enjoy having you.
All right, and we'll see you next time.
Have a wonderful day.
All right. Bye bye.